Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be reacting to 1-star Goodreads reviews of some of my favourite books. Yeah, I don't really know why, I just had this random thought. I thought it might be funny. I'm gonna start off by apologising for, I don't know, I feel like the lighting is not great. I don't know, I feel like I look a bit weird. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. Things usually look a lot different on my viewfinder versus when I go to edit, so maybe that's just my problem, but it's like cold and rainy and dark and horrible outside even though it's the middle of the afternoon. So yeah, I'm sat a lot further forward than, because like normally I'm like quite back here and you can't really see a lot of this, but I'm sat further forward just because that corner's quite dark in my room because of the horrible weather. So yeah, by the way, this might spoil some books for people, so if you don't want to be spoiled, maybe don't watch this video. But we're just gonna dive right in. We're gonna start with Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I want to get it out of the way. I want it done. Yeah, so we're just gonna start with it. Okay, so the first review straight out the gate. To put it simply, Once Upon a Broken Heart is a hot mess. The premise promises a fairy tale, but what Garber delivers is a confused nightmare with an annoyingly naive protagonist. She's naive because she's lived such a sheltered life. Like, as the book progresses, she gets a lot stronger. And the fact that she's so trusting and so naive is what's so endearing about her. And there would be no story if she wasn't so trusting. Anyway, a one-dimensional cast of supporting characters and a truly WTF-inducing plot. This book's only saving graces are the short chapters and fast pacing, which at times can be be a hindrance to your enjoyment and desire to rate this book higher than you actually will. Evangeline as a protagonist and narrator frustrated me endlessly. She's insanely naive, always trusting people she shouldn't and wanting to help Marisol, her stepsister, when it's very obvious that A, her sister is shady and up to no good, and B, she generally has no reason to. That is just not true. I was just sat here defending it and getting so mad. But I don't think it's very obvious that her sister is up to no good. Marisol is like sneaking around or whatever, but Evangeline just wants to believe the best in her. Like, when you see how domineering Marisol's mother, Evangeline's stepmother, is, you can understand why Marisol would be the way she is and feel like she has to be the way she... I'm trying not to give spoilers, but what do you mean she has no reason to? She does, because Jax turned the wedding party to stone because Evangeline went to him for help. So it's Evangeline's fault that Marisol's wedding day got ruined the first time because she asked Jax to stop the wedding. And Jax just wanted to cause trouble, and that's how he did it. So Evangeline feels responsible, and that's why she wants to help her. And also, she's just a good person, and she sees how horribly mistreated her stepsister is by her stepmother, so she's like, okay, I'm gonna rescue this girl and take her with me on my adventure. Even though Marisol is like, she's a bit dodgy, but like... The two of them have next to no relationship. I wouldn't agree with that. She's also a very passive character. Things happen to her, not because of her. She makes things happen. That is... The side characters, yes, including Jax in this book, are no better. They're all one-dimensional and flat, having one unique aspect about them, and that's it. I could tell you hardly anything about them. Jack's past with Donatello is briefly mentioned, but I wouldn't really class that as him having personality, and I think it's more fan service for existing Caraval fans than anything. Okay, but as the series goes on, you learn more about Jax's past, especially in A Curse for True Love, and The Ballad of Never After a little bit. Like, it's a lot more about Jax's past. Like, it's a trilogy. She's not gonna just like spoil everything in one book, she had a timeline and a trajectory that she wanted to take the series on. This is making me really mad. I wish I'd never decided to make this video. The book's plot follows no clear structure. It's all over the place. Sure, there's a little bit of action, but that does nothing to redeem a story that is 99% boring and 1% interesting scenes. There were numerous attempts at romantic scenes throughout the book, but Evangeline has no real chemistry with either of her potential love interests. One was literally cursed to be in love with her, so there's that. So it did nothing for me, and I read most of them. Yeah, Evangeline and Apollo have like no chemistry. I would agree with that, but I don't think they're not meant to. Because you're meant to want her to be with Jax. And yeah, Apollo is cursed, so that probably plays into the no chemistry bit, but I agree with this actually. Now I'm deeping it. Apollo and Evangeline have no chemistry. And their love story does not make sense. And to be fair, I don't understand why Evangeline, like, at the... Hey, do you know what? I'm just gonna... Spoilers coming. Because there's just no way I can communicate what I want to say without spoiling. So, spoilers, soz. But Evangeline... I never understood really why Evangeline, like... After she'd come back with Jax, after finding about the Valerie Arch and everything like that towards the end of the first book, why she's like, suddenly her inner monologue is so like wanting to try things with Apollo and stuff like that, because I'm like, there was nothing there. And then like even in the second book, like why, and the third book, why would Apollo do the things he does when him and Evangeline have no relationship? So I get where they're coming from with that. If you've read the whole series, you maybe get what I'm saying. Like Apollo just does certain things at the end of Valid Never After and then into A Curse for True Love. He kind of does things to try and keep Evangeline, like to keep him as like his wife, to keep her as his wife. But yeah, they have no chemistry, they had no relationship, so it's like, why are you doing this? Like, do you even like her? I'll agree with that, I will allow this. Oh, this also says, we were given no real explanation as to why vampires were included either. Yeah, the vampires were weird, and the first time I read that I was like, okay, cool, there's vampires, that's random. But it makes sense. The plot does hinge on vampires, especially the second book. If it wasn't for the vampires, then Stephanie's evil plans would have all been ruined. And that is literally what she said when I went to the author thing that they do at Waterstone. So they did it at Piccadilly with Stephanie Garber prior to the release for Curse for True Love, and she was talking about the vampires, and she was like, when I first wrote it, my editors were like, get rid of the vampires, take them out. And she was like, I can't, because she knew how she wanted the whole arc to go, and she was like, I can't. Because what she does in The Ballad of Never After is dependent on the fact that there are vampires. So, yeah. They're random, but they have a purpose. There was also a prophecy subplot, because of course there was. The prophecy in this book centers around the Valerie Arch, a mysterious archway in the north which contains either treasure and secrets or deadly monsters. No one is really sure which. Evangeline, having such main character energy, is the key to unlocking this door. I guess she literally is the main character, but just roll with the punches here. She literally is the main character, like Harry Potter is the chosen one, because he's the main character, like... This is vexing me more than I think it should. The next was that Jax was mid. I much preferred Apollo. Yeah, but then you read A Curse for True Love and you do not want Apollo. Like, I get it, but like, you need to read the whole series. But like, I can't judge these people for saying these things, because even when they wrote these reviews, like, the rest of the series wasn't out yet. So I'm trying not to judge, but like, it's hurt in my heart. This one just says no, because WTF was that. This one's really funny. I don't think Jax brushes his teeth. Someone else has got, this was terrible. Worst book I've ever read. Need the sequel immediately. Okay, we're gonna stop this one now because it's making me want to cry. So that was all the 1-star reviews of Once Upon a Broken Heart that my heart could take. So next up we're going to be reading 1-star reviews of Divine Rivals, of which there are, how many to choose from? 1,799 to choose from. But it's very highly rated. It's got 4.25 stars overall. So anyway. The first she writes letters like I did when I was heartbroken at 13 over my Minecraft boyfriend. Oh, there's this one I really don't agree with. The world building is so bad. At some point the main character says he loves summer because it's when baseball season is back. I don't get that. I think the world building is phenomenal. Like, from just the first page, like, literally page 1 of Divine Rivals, the way she set the scene, impeccable. My opinion, anyway. They use lifts and have electricity but use typewriters. That's true. But, like, actually, no. Hold on, this woman needs to check her history because, like, maybe I need to check my history, but, like, electricity and typewriters were around at the same time, pretty sure. Like, computers and electricity weren't invented together. Right? Like, they back in the day, they still were using typewriters but had electricity. Am I right? Please someone tell me I'm right. I think I'm right. Lifts, I'm not sure about. But electricity? Definitely. The romance is horrible. The dialogue is so cheesy and cringe. It doesn't even allow you to have a cozy, fun read. It's just strange. Every single chapter sets something that brings you out of the story. I do not understand the hype. I think we need to start reading more to acclaim better books. Because being over 25 and having this as a major literary favourite is just bad. I think that last bit was unnecessary. I think people are allowed to enjoy what they want to enjoy. If you're going to be 30 and you want to read, like, Charlotte's Web for the first time, or, like, do you know what I mean? If you're, like, 30 and you enjoy reading, like, the books in the 9 to 12 section, fair play. Like, you can read what you want to read. It doesn't have to be to do with age. And I feel like saying something like that is really belittling, and it really, like, I don't know, it's just really, like, elitist, and just, like, it's that kind of, it's got that little bit of attitude that sometimes people don't like from readers. It's giving, like, oh, audiobooks aren't books kind of energy, being like, oh, over 25, like, you can't read, like, kids books or whatever. Like, that comment rubbed me the wrong way. So this person did not finish it at 57% of the way through. I feel like I've read a completely different book to everyone else. I went in with high expectations due to the hype that ended up being disappointed. That's how I felt about Fourth Wing, so I can relate. A great concept, but it was poorly done. The lack of world building made me feel disconnected from the entire story. There was so much world building. But then, to be fair, people say that, like, Fourth Wing has great world building, and I just didn't feel that. The world wasn't built for me. But the world was built for me in Divine Rivals, but I guess everyone's different. The characters lacked depth and dialogue was cringy, especially the letters. At times, I would agree with that. The plot stumbled along and the central war element was majorly underdeveloped. There was no suspense whatsoever from what you'd expect whilst living through a war. I just don't get it. There was so much suspense. See, this is what happens when you don't finish a book, is that, like, the suspense is at the end. Like, at the end they, like, get, like, I'm not gonna say what happened, but, like, the end is good. World building, don't know her. That's how I feel about Fourth Wing. Feeling bamboozled, lied to, led astray. Stunted narration and cheesy dialogue, really bland characters with an elaborate hidden identity romance which was resolved really poorly, world building that never made any sense, horrible pacing. How do you manage to have a war happening in the background of your story and make it boring? Nothing about this worked for me and I wish I had just committed to the DNF. I don't think it was boring, and I feel like the war element was very developed. I don't know, I enjoyed it. I kind of respect the author for doing no world building at all. I disagree. I think there was world building. Is it just me? Well, clearly it's not just me, because it's got like 200,000 5-star reviews, so it's not just me. Okay, we're gonna leave this one as well. That one was just more funny. I think because I don't feel for it the way I feel for Once Upon a Broken Heart. Like, it's kind of my new obsession. Like, I loved Divine Rivals. I'm in love with Roman Kit. I want Roman Kit to be my man, and I want him to send me magical letters with his beautiful prose. But, like, also, Once Upon a Broken Heart is a part of my soul. It's different. Okay, so the final one we're going to react to is Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuzna. I've talked about it lots and lots of times. Well, not lots of times. I think I've talked about it like 3 times, something like that. But yeah. So, see, this one isn't, it's got 3.57 stars overall, but I think that's because it's just a lesser known book. I want a short one. Why are they all really long? Okay. Never in my life have I been so grateful to finish a book. If I didn't have book club, I would have DNF'd this very early on. Stilted prose, thesaurus overload, and forced romance. This book needed some serious editing and could have been half the length. Seriously wonder if I read the same book as all those giving it 5 stars. I trusted the reviews and wish I hadn't. I mean, it's been a while since I read this. Maybe this wasn't the best one to pick, because I can't really give my 2 cents, because I don't remember a lot. I wonder if by forced romance they're talking about the literal forced romance where her parents are trying to force her to marry this man, or if they're saying that the actual low-key love interest felt forced. I don't remember thinking that the actual love interest felt forced. I remember being like, tee. So, yeah. The universe owes me an apology after this. I'm too angry to write a review now, and I will return once my immediate distaste of this book has cooled off. I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. But it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful book. What do you mean? I mean, I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy because my worst enemy doesn't deserve this book. Rather than it's so bad, I wouldn't even wish it upon my worst enemy. That's made me sad. This is hands down the most disappointing book I've tried to read in a long time. I say tried because even though I can tell things might be about to kick off, even though I'm so excited about the prospect of this book, I blind bought it and put off reading it until I had no interruptions. Even though I will walk through brambles to get to anything Nutcracker related, I cannot finish this book. Maybe I'll come back to it later and make more progress, but for now this is a DNF at 33 pages. Which, given I have set a rule of never giving up on a book until at least 50, preferably 100 pages in, is quite a feat. The first issue with this is the writing. This is one of the best written books I've ever read. M.A. Kuzna's writing is one of the best I've ever experienced in my life. The way M.A. Kuzna writes speaks to my soul. So that hurt a little bit. That's hurt a little bit to read. That's hurt me. I can't even. Sweet like pastry, light and moderately enjoyable and utterly void of substance. So bad, like a Bath and Body Works Christmas collection vomited up a sad excuse of a novel. Pretentious, slow, and some of the worst purple prose I've read to date. What does purple prose mean? I feel like I should know what this means. What does purple prose mean? Oh, prose that is too elaborate or ornate. That's what I love about it. That it's so elaborate and ornate. I think it really goes with the fantasy setting, and I think it makes the world building so rich and like... We all have different tastes. And because this video is actually hurting my soul, I'm gonna stop. That's the end. Yeah, I don't mean this video to be like disrespectful to anybody's opinions, you know, all that stuff. Like, everybody has a different reading experience. But people saying bad things about Once Upon a Broken Heart does make me very angry. As you could tell. Makes me mad. Very mad. But it's fine because I love it. There's plenty of other people that love it that I can talk to about how much we love it. It's fine. Anyway, yeah, I think just moral of the story, everybody's got different opinions, and some people are harsh with their opinions. I also think a lot of readers are very harsh when they judge and rate a book. Yeah. Or maybe I'm too generous, but I think a lot of people are harsh. Especially when they write reviews on things like GoodReads. I think a lot of times, like, obviously you want to be honest, but again, we need to be mindful of what we say online. Little keyboard warriors out there. I feel like a lot of book reviewers turn into a bit of keyboard warriors and just kind of shit on a book. And, you know, an author might see that. And I personally might burst into flames if someone wrote some of those things about a book that I had written. If someone was that harsh. I don't take criticism very well, especially if it's harsh. So, yeah, I don't know. I think people need to be nicer online, which is kind of a tangent, but also kind of relevant. Anyway, I'm just going to end the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I am potentially thinking about doing this but in reverse, so reading 5-star reviews of books that I hated / didn't finish. So let me know if you want to see that. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to follow my Instagram, the link is in the description. Follow my TikTok, my username is in the description.